Hello. We are beginning to realize more and more that a certain change in consciousness is happening in this world. Not with everyone. Uh, it looks like a lot of people are going backward, kind of views and religions which are very aggressive, is all about convincing others by force and compelling them to follow something. And it's all about belief. You have to believe this thing written, that thing written. But nowadays there is a wonderful awakening as well, is that people suddenly feeling the opening of love, of reconciliation in their heart, and although keeping a strong personality, being able to assert themselves, they begin to see that feeling that kind of heart opening is not so much a question of believing a page of something written, but beginning to release one's negativity, one's hatred within their hearts, and opening more to the heart of others. Now, a phenomenon that is also happening with this transformation is more and more people having the so-called near-death experiences. And a lot of them sometimes can happen in hospitals, but sometimes it can happen in homes. But normally it's not someone saying, oh, I saw something, and sometimes somehow creating it. But it's really people that were able, sometimes, not always, but to have the feeling of leaving their bodies and looking correctly what was going on in other rooms in the hospital, what was being said, what was being done. I mean, there was a lot of proofs going on of being genuine experiences. Now, you'll see a lot on books written about it and YouTube and so forth. And we can't 100% say that all of them happened exactly in the same order, because there can be a variation with different people. But nevertheless, there are some components that may be in different orders but keep occurring to everybody. To some of them, fewer of them, not 4 or 5, only 2 of them, but nevertheless they're there present and they aim to a particular goal, which is inner freedom. But we'll talk about it, and I'll try to do it very, very simple. But what is to me mind-blowing is that certain experiences, meditative experiences that we can have, can also reflect that same realization that the near-death experience gives. It takes longer, maybe more work and so forth, but it can, in some cases, go towards that goal. Now, I have always disliked, in years that I make videos for various channels, to talk about my inner experiences. I'll talk about Jesus, the teachings of Jesus, meditation, things that we can do, but I don't go into, oh, I've had this experience or that experience, but I now think that it is very important. I'm now in my 70s. I don't know when I'll grow wings and go into my own near-death experience, and there is something I'm very keen to leave. I'm not looking for followers or anything. To me, if just 20 people see it and a couple benefit, wow, I'll be a very happy man. So very briefly, I first will give you a very short introduction of what I did since my early youth, on the path of self-realization, and how it integrates to all the rest. So As you know, some of you know, when I was only 17, with a dear friend of mine, we hitchhiked all the way to India. Those was 67. In those days, all that path was open, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. With time, we could also go to Thailand and Australia and so forth. But I remained for quite a few years in India, becoming what is called the sadhu. It's a kind of yogi, a mystic that lives in the forest, following the teachers and so forth. It's a wonderful life. It created a lot of problems for my digestive system, but it is a wonderful life. So at first, it started learning meditations from some of my teachers that are very much of concentration. I mean, you concentrate on the third eye and you try not to see anything else or to go into any other thoughts, but just to concentrate on the third eye, maybe see a light, maybe see an image. And those are the first steps. But sometime later, I met a wonderful guy called Rajendra Prasad Koshak, long name, and I began to follow a form of meditation much closer, in a way, it is between Hinduism and Buddhism. And it's just very simply, don't try to really concentrate too much into stopping the mind and having an experience at the expense of everything else, but it's simply know that you're breathing in and know that you're breathing out. Thoughts come and thoughts go. Don't attach. At the same time, don't make them stronger by fighting them. So when I'm breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. When I'm breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. And just have some love and affection for what is going on. And don't be taken away by things, but don't fight them either. You make them stronger. So no particular concentration, just being, just relaxing. And you can do it sitting down in a meditation posture, but you can lie on your back, you can walk, you can sit by a lake. Even you relax when you talk to people sometimes. So anyhow, so I came back to the West and I started, teaching to some people, and I kept it going for a few years. I also at that time chose to do some psychotherapy, some form of really understanding what is there in the back of my mind, creating certain thoughts and feelings, what parts of my past were influencing that. But I don't say you really have to do it. Just be a bit aware of what is going on. So that has been my path for a long time, which I've greatly enjoyed. Now, I will tell you something that relates to near-death experience, and I'll explain why. I was sitting once in a Buddhist center in a lecture, beautiful monk in there, and at one point he was talking and saying the problem can be that we think that we are the thoughts and the emotions. And then our personality is created by them. Our anger, our resentments, our fears, these things that come and go, these sensations and so forth. But it says, yes, they are there, but listen to this, they are not who we truly are. We are consciousness, being, pure joy in a way. And you know what? This time I heard that talk and those words in a different way. In a sense, very simple and very beautiful. I became that. And there was a great joy. It was like, I asked him, I said, oh, are we just really consciousness? And he looked at me, of course, realizing what was happening. And he said, yes, that's what all we are. And I went, oh, ah, kind of thing. And so this first transformation began, and is a little bit the near-death experience, when somehow you might be going through a process of dying with a certain fear, with a certain apprehension, and suddenly there is a snap. You're snapping out of this identification with our mind and excessive identification with our body. So suddenly there is this feeling, wow, I'm in the light. I'm like, almost I'm like flying. There is pure space and freedom. I am free. So this near-death experience is quite close to this kind of spiritual experience. So it's not about having a new belief or embracing some new model of life. It is a lived, real, existential event. So what I saw, it was maybe a day later or so, that within this feeling of who I really am, just pure being, not my thoughts, not my fears, I let them come and I let them go. I don't suppress them, but there is even an affection for them. Hi, you're right, just relax. And so from that, another stage came, which was immense love. And this time is not love towards a particular person. I mean, the love towards particular people increases with it, is more felt, more heart-oriented. But its root is again part of who you are. You are that love. Is when you have lived maybe from life to life, chain to this world, to this conflict, and so forth. And it exists at one level, but at this level you see, again, I am consciousness, and this consciousness is love. Just because that is not because I'm getting married or because I've received $1 million. Is just pure being. And then you think, I've done it. This is really home, and it really is. Now, and again, this is what you see in near-death experiences. You grow these wings, you suddenly think, I'm free. You float over the body. You're not just this body, you're not just this mind and past. And so once you see that freedom in many near-death experiences, then there is this immense love. It's like, I am home, and sometimes some people have visions and so forth. So that I really felt, well, that is quite it. But gradually, now hear me here because it's interesting. If you see near-death experiences, what there is very good about it is there is not an identification with, oh, I am an enlightened being. Yeah? Matter of fact, the person becomes very simple, very humble, is particularly concerned to have followers and so forth, but is more concerned, how can I help? Shall I go to some countries and help medically people, do work for them. Um, how can I improve not just my life, but as I improving my life, how do I improve the life of people without being seen as a teacher of any sort, kind of thing. So the word enlightened doesn't come very much. Now, remember that by the time I started having these experiences, I've been for a few decades with teachers and learning and so forth. And let me share this with you. I found myself very often with kind of enlightened people, and not all enlightened people are like this, but very often were this sense that although so much has been given up, our past and our unnecessary attachment, but there is a very subtle thing of now I've got this label, I am enlightened. And with a normal person, not the near-death experience, but one who has had a near-death experience is a kind of a live process of letting go and seeing your true nature. So not with the people that have had the near-death experience, but with those people, there can, as I said, there can be a very, very, very subtle thing. Now I am enlightened. And within this identification, a kind of new ego, more difficult ego arises, that somehow I cannot make mistakes. Somehow I'm always on the right because I don't have a ego, or so it looks to me. I don't have an ego, and there is almost a certain sense of messiahhood. Unique amongst people, so it's very subtle, but this sense that I am totally free and nothing that has been somehow covered by our eye is there anymore. That I've been with some great teachers throughout the world that I could see at some stage that had been created. And it manifests very much within the sense, well, I can look at myself and I see there is no I, there is no ego. So I am enlightened. And somehow it can become very difficult. Yes, they can get a lot of followers and so forth, but something remains. They still have kind of thing to have rebirth, to kind of totally release that last bit, which is so difficult because the enlightened ego, you can't move it, you can't challenge it. How can it be? I made a mistake? I don't make mistake. I'm enlightened. Now, that kind of, as I said, attitude does not belong in near-death experiences, or there might be some people going, oh, I've had a near-death experience, look at me. But overall, there is this kind of simplicity. There is truly that kind of humility, but not the humility where you go, oh, I'm so humble, but it's just that childlike simplicity, and that is very beautiful. So this further process happened within me, and of really observing my being, my mind, my emotions, and realizing, now that is the important realization, that as long as you are on this plane, you are never completely free of your ego. You are still there, you need to function. And there can be moments where this ego is very close to take over again. But when you realize that you are never totally free and you have to keep on working on you have to keep on having a certain humility, certain capacity to look at things and going, I need to transform this in a gentle way, nice, loving way. Then there is a true process of freedom occurs. Then that final step is finally taken. As very often, if not always, happens in near-death experience, which are, I could say, almost complete. So this process is then very beautiful, because when you start going through this, then there a certain blessing, I believe, occurs, and you begin to see kind of things a bit more in 4D, which is, why have I behaved that way? Why was my childhood like that? Why have I reacted like this? Why have I been like this to close people to me? And it begins to be shown. A higher form of psychoanalysis begins to arise. That is the understanding of how karmically we have reached to this point. Whether you believe it's just from childhood and the family and country we are born in, or you believe that there is a rebirth where all these things reoccur in different forms, for us to recognize them and then liberate ourselves. And that is the true process that is very difficult for someone that thinks, I'm totally enlightened, I can do no wrong. So this real release and letting go of receiving this capacity of understanding the roots of things, the capacity to see that somebody, I mean, some people are very unpleasant and important to remove from your life, but there are many people close to us. Sometimes they act in a way, sometimes they look a bit tearful, aggressive, and normally we are just irritated. But when we begin to enter into this new phase of there is really no enlightenment, meaning in the sense I'm not enlightened, there is just a growth that opens more and more and more, and there is then another form of stillness in it. When that begins to occur, then we understand. She is very upset about something that has occurred some time ago and just needs some extra understanding. You begin to see things from love more. Understanding when you have to protect yourself from certain people, but on the other hand, when we can truly happen, when it truly happens, that we are present with people, we are present with the flowers, we are present with our pussycat, with the birds, kind of thing. So that is a beautiful journey, but all the time you have to be ready to give this sacrifice. I reacted in a certain manner with a certain person, and in some cases I can go, well, that was the best thing to do, but sometimes also there is the readiness to say, no, that really, I was just being harsh for no reason, was just a reaction of mine. And while some people, they think they are seeing past lives and so forth, and it's very, very difficult, and we have to be there very humble with it. But sometimes it can be quite interesting, because sometimes there is a certain clarity. But there again, you need a bit of humility, because people, they just get quick experiences. They just see flashes of light and stuff, and it's just their brain working. this kind of scene sometimes flashes from the past, being able to understand certain things, they don't occur all over the place like that. It's only when it's very important and necessary for so to occur. And again, you shouldn't build anything on it. Oh, I knew you in a past life. Now, you know, let's go and have a good time. Yeah, come on, you and me, because we knew each other in past lives. And another form of exploitation starts. Yes, certain things have brought us together, certain things have brought us apart, but don't build anything with it, because you are not that person from the past. You are that person who's here now, and I've got to respect you as such. So that is the last sacrifice I've seen that a near-death experience man does, and someone who is really deeply into inner transformation is not to hold to an idea that then suppresses all the rest, to this idea that I'm special and better than others because I'm enlightened. Yes, you're having an amazing and beautiful experience. Yeah. And you know what? Be ready even to just let it come and go. Don't get even attached to that. And you will just remain a child who can be very wise and very stupid. And so what? This is, live your human life. You are here not just to deny your life, but is to live it, and then you can truly move on. But to live it is not to be too attached to this I that transforms itself. You know, first you are very wise, you are very this, you are very that, now you are enlightened with no fault and no mistakes. So this is another step that is very important. And as I said, if just a few people can get this, maybe not now that you can hear it, but maybe it will come back to you at some other stage, and then they can hear it and then really live it, is fantastic. There is this process that can happen to you when you have a near-death experience, or that can gradually happen to you as you move on a spiritual path. Because even with a near-death experience, afterwards, you need to keep working on yourself. But those people normally do it, you know, because they're not to identify with, I am enlightened. Okay? So keep moving. And if you have reached this far, I am very happy. Bless you.